modeled by people in other places in Indonesia.
I think that the English program was amazing. The students spoke amazing English. They were so kind and excited to learn. I think that the English program was teachers who helped the students and were kind to them. English. They were so excited to be there. Excited.
Inovasi program English Masif mengglobal stigma program gratis yang terlibat dengan rendah kualitas. Support English Masif di inovasi program English Masif mempertahankan stigma menyebabkan brand yang rendah kualitas. Untuk memastikan proses pembelajaran yang terukur, inovasi program English Masif memproteksi SA keamanan brand yang rendah kualitas. Untuk memastikan proses pembelajaran belajar praktis, inovasi program English Masif memproteksi SA keamanan belajar remote yang rendah kualitas. Untuk memastikan proses pembelajaran belajar praktis, inovasi program English Masif memproteksi keamanan belajar remote yang rendah kualitas. Untuk memastikan proses pembelajaran belajar praktis, inovasi program English Masif untuk memastikan proses pembelajaran belajar praktis, inovasi program English Masif memproteksi SA keamanan belajar remote yang rendah kualitas. Inovasi program English Masif memproteksi SA keamanan belajar remote. Tujuan program English Masif juga selaras dengan tujuan keempat Sustainable Development Goals, yaitu memastikan pendidikan berkualitas yang setara, inklusif, dan mendukung terbukanya kesempatan pembelajaran seumur hidup.
Program ini program yang sangat bagus, di mana anak akan diberikan pengetahuan dan keterampilan bicara dalam bahasa Inggris gratis.
Saya selaku PJ benar-benar bisa merasakan hasilnya.
Kalau bisa program seperti ini tetap dilanjutkan.
Inovasi program English Masif ini berpotensi besar untuk direplikasi secara parsial maupun keseluruhan karena mudah dilaksanakan, berdampak positif, sistematis, terarah, dan terukur.
Harapan kami untuk program English Masif tentu saja bisa meningkatkan daya saing warga atau masyarakat Kota Kediri, bahwa kami sudah membuat satu program yang benar-benar berkualitas, sustain, dan bisa dijalankan dan dirasakan betul langsung masyarakat.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah.
Masif.
It seems really diverse between all of the citizens of Kediri. It gave me a lot of experience to know what it would be like in a long.
Globalisasi menuntut kesiapan dalam menghadapi tantangan dan perubahan yang cepat. Agar mampu bersaing di era global, dibutuhkan kemampuan untuk membangun kolaborasi melalui skill komunikasi yang efektif. Pemerintah Kota Kediri bergerak cepat menyiapkan strategi pembangunan yang berorientasi pada investasi terhadap peningkatan sumber daya manusia. Inggris Masif Lintas Masyarakat Gratis Maksimal atau EMAS Bagram hadir dengan pelatihan bahasa Inggris gratis bagi warga Kota Kediri tanpa batasan usia dan latar belakang. Untuk mendekatkan layanan kepada masyarakat, Inggris Masif hadir di 46 kelurahan di Kota Kediri dan diikuti oleh ribuan partisipan.
We can make friends, a lot of friends here, all speaking English, and I love the teaching method
because it's amazing, beautiful, and fun.
It's also free. Alhamdulillah anaknya ada semangat dan amat sangat menunjang untuk kebutuhan anak saya untuk belajar Inggris.
Mengikuti les di Inggris Masif, alhamdulillah ada banyak kemajuan.
Karena selama ini kalau kita harus kursus bahasa Inggris itu sangat mahal.
So amazing. They want to learn our language, and so we're so happy to get to practice with them and watch them learn and grow.
Exciting to hear that this program's been running for 6 years, and it sounds like it's going strong and can be going for many years. Hopefully it will be able to grow into something very useful for the people of Kediri and can be modeled by people in other places in Indonesia.
I think that the English program was amazing. The students spoke amazing English. They were so kind and excited to learn. And they had amazing teachers who helped them and were kind to them. And I was excited to be there.
Inovasi program Inggris Masif mendobrak stigma program gratis yang identik dengan rendahnya kualitas. Tutor Inggris Masif diseleksi ketat oleh Dinas Pendidikan Kota Kediri dan mendapatkan training reguler tiap bulannya. Untuk memastikan progres pembelajaran yang terukur, kurikulum Inggris Masif merujuk CEFR Common European Framework. Sustainable Development Goals, yaitu memastikan pendidikan berkualitas yang setara, inklusif, dan mendukung terbukanya kesempatan pembelajaran seumur hidup.
Program ini program yang sangat bagus, di mana anak akan diberikan pengetahuan dan keterampilan bicara dalam bahasa Inggris gratis.
Saya selaku PJ benar-benar bisa merasakan hasilnya.
Kalau bisa program seperti ini tetap dilanjutkan.
Inovasi program Inggris Masif ini berpotensi besar untuk direplikasi secara parsial maupun keseluruhan karena mudah dilaksanakan, berdampak positif, sistematis, terarah, dan terukur.
Harapan kami untuk program Inggris Masif tentu saja bisa meningkatkan daya saing warga atau masyarakat Kota Kediri, bahwa kami sudah membuat satu program yang benar-benar berkualitas, sustain, dan bisa dijalankan dan dirasakan betul langsung kepada masyarakat.
Globalisasi menuntut kesiapan dalam menghadapi tantangan dan perubahan yang cepat. Agar mampu bersaing di era global, dibutuhkan kemampuan untuk membangun kolaborasi melalui skill komunikasi yang efektif. Pemerintah Kota Kediri bergerak cepat menyiapkan strategi pembangunan yang berorientasi pada investasi terhadap peningkatan sumber daya manusia. Inggris Masif Lintas Masyarakat Gratis Maksimal atau EMAS Gemilang hadir dengan pelatihan bahasa Inggris gratis bagi warga Kota Kediri tanpa batasan usia dan latar belakang. Untuk mendekatkan layanan kepada masyarakat, Inggris Masif hadir di 46 kelurahan di Kota Kediri dan diikuti oleh ribuan partisipan.
We can make friends, a lot of friends here, all speaking English, and I love the teaching method
because it's amazing, beautiful, and fun.
It's also free. Alhamdulillah anaknya ada semangat dan amat sangat menunjang untuk kebutuhan anak saya untuk belajar Inggris.
Mengikuti les di Inggris Masif, alhamdulillah ada banyak kemajuan.
Karena selama ini kalau kita harus kursus bahasa Inggris itu sangat mahal.
So amazing. They want to learn our language, and so we're so happy to get to practice with them and watch them learn and grow.
Exciting to hear that this program's been running for 6 years, and it sounds like it's going strong and can be going for many years. Hopefully it will be able to grow into something very useful for the people of Kediri and can be modeled by people in other places in Indonesia.
I think that the English program was amazing. The students spoke amazing English. They were so kind and excited to learn. And they had amazing teachers who helped them and were kind to them. And I was excited to be there.
Inovasi program Inggris Masif mendobrak stigma program gratis yang identik dengan rendahnya kualitas. Tutor Inggris Masif diseleksi ketat oleh Dinas Pendidikan Kota Kediri dan mendapatkan training reguler tiap bulannya. Untuk memastikan progres pembelajaran yang terukur, kurikulum Inggris Masif merujuk CEFR Common European Framework of Reference. Untuk memperkaya pengalaman belajar partisipan, Inggris Masif mengajak partisipan belajar di ruang terbuka melalui Meet, Learn, and Play, menyediakan waktu berlatih di luar jadwal belajar melalui kegiatan English Call, podcast Talk with EMAS, dan melatih kreativitas partisipan dengan pembelajaran berbasis projects. Partisipan juga berkesempatan menampilkan skillnya di ajang kompetisi koin emas, Competition in English Masif.
It seems really diverse between all of the citizens of Kediri. It gave me a lot of experience to know what it would be like in a lot of competitions. Now I know what it feels like to join a competition.
Ini salah satu yang paling baik rasanya yang lomba aku pernah masuk.
Muatan dan tujuan program Inggris Masif juga selaras dengan tujuan keempat Sustainable Development Goals, yaitu memastikan pendidikan berkualitas yang setara, inklusif, dan mendukung terbukanya kesempatan pembelajaran seumur hidup.
Program ini program yang sangat bagus, di mana anak akan diberikan pengetahuan dan keterampilan bicara dalam bahasa Inggris gratis.
Saya selaku PJ benar-benar bisa merasakan hasilnya.
Kalau bisa program seperti ini tetap dilanjutkan.
Inovasi program Inggris Masif ini berpotensi besar untuk direplikasi secara parsial maupun keseluruhan, karena mudah dilaksanakan, berdampak positif, sistematis, terarah, dan terukur.
Harapan kami untuk program Inggris Masif tentu saja bisa meningkatkan daya saing warga atau masyarakat Kota Kediri, bahwa kami sudah membuat satu program yang benar-benar berkualitas, sustain, dan bisa dijalankan dan dirasakan betul langsung kepada masyarakat.
Globalisasi menuntut kesiapan dalam menghadapi tantangan dan perubahan yang cepat. Agar mampu bersaing di era global, dibutuhkan kemampuan untuk membangun kolaborasi melalui skill komunikasi yang efektif. Pemerintah Kota Kediri bergerak cepat menyiapkan strategi pembangunan yang berorientasi pada investasi terhadap peningkatan sumber daya manusia. Inggris Masif Lintas Masyarakat Gratis Maksimal atau EMAS Gemilang hadir dengan pelatihan bahasa Inggris gratis bagi warga Kota Kediri tanpa batasan usia dan latar belakang. Untuk mendekatkan layanan kepada masyarakat, Inggris Masif hadir di 46 kelurahan di Kota Kediri dan diikuti oleh ribuan partisipan.
We can make friends, a lot of friends here, all speaking English, and I love the teaching method
because it's amazing, beautiful, and fun.
It's also free. Alhamdulillah anaknya ada semangat dan amat sangat menunjang untuk anak saya untuk belajar Inggris.
Mengikuti les di Inggris Masif, alhamdulillah ada banyak kemajuan.
Karena selama ini kalau kita harus kursus bahasa Inggris itu sangat mahal.
So amazing. They want to learn our language, and so we're so happy to get to practice with them and watch them learn and grow.
Exciting to hear that this program's been running for 6 years, and it sounds like it's going strong and can be going for many years. Hopefully it will be able to grow into something very useful for the people of Kediri and can be modeled by people in other places in Indonesia.
I think that the English program was
ketat oleh Dinas Pendidikan Kota Kediri dan mendapatkan training reguler tiap bulannya. Untuk memastikan progres pembelajaran yang terukur, kurikulum Inggris Masif merujuk CEFR Common European Framework of Reference. Untuk memperkaya pengalaman belajar partisipan, Inggris Masif mengajak partisipan belajar di ruang terbuka melalui Meet, Learn, and Play, menyediakan waktu berlatih di luar jadwal belajar melalui kegiatan konkret EMAS, dan melatih kreativitas partisipan dengan pembelajaran berbasis partisipan juga berkesempatan menambahkan skillnya competition
Really diverse of the citizens of Kediri. It gave me a lot of experience to know what it would be like in a lot of competitions. Now I know what it feels like to join a competition.
Ini salah satu yang paling baik rasanya yang lomba aku pernah masuk.
Muatan dan tujuan program Inggris Masif juga selaras dengan tujuan keempat Sustainable Development Goals, yaitu memastikan pendidikan berkualitas yang setara, inklusif, dan mendukung terbukanya kesempatan pembelajaran seumur hidup.
Program ini program yang sangat bagus, di mana anak akan diberikan pengetahuan dan keterampilan bicara dalam bahasa Inggris gratis.
Saya selaku PJ benar-benar bisa merasakan hasilnya.
Kalau bisa program seperti ini tetap dilanjutkan.
Inovasi program Inggris Masif ini berpotensi besar untuk direplikasi secara parsial maupun keseluruhan karena mudah dilakukan, berdampak positif, sistematis, terarah, dan terukur.
Harapan kami untuk program Inggris Masif tentu saja bisa meningkatkan daya saing warga masyarakat Kota Kediri, bahwa kami sudah membuat satu program yang benar-benar berkualitas, sustain, dan bisa dijalankan dan dirasakan langsung kepada masyarakat.
Oh iya toh. Oke. Kok Cindy? Cindy yang lain. Dari partisipan coba diklik, terus titik 3 itu klik dulu. Cantik dari co-host, terus Yannik juga boleh kalian. Aku host aja ya, enggak. Aku host aja ya. Dua oleh toh host. Boleh. Enggak tahu. Enggak usah lah ngono. Satu. Ya wis. Oh, usah wis ngono ya. Yannik Herawati. Ada, sudah ada. Ini kalau ngomong sama Asa enggak terang.
To get to practice with them and watch them learn and grow.
Exciting to hear that this program's been running for 6 years, and it sounds like it's going strong and can be going for many years. hopefully it will be able to grow into something very useful for the people of Kediri and can be modeled by people in other places in Indonesia.
I think that the English program was amazing. The students spoke amazing English. They were so kind and excited to learn. And they had amazing teachers who helped them and were kind to them. And I was excited to be there.
Inovasi program Inggris Masif mendobrak stigma program gratis yang identik dengan rendahnya kualitas. Tutor Inggris Masif diseleksi ketat oleh Dinas Pendidikan Kota Kediri dan mendapatkan training reguler tiap bulannya. Untuk memastikan progres pembelajaran yang terukur, kurikulum Inggris Masif merujuk CEFR Common European Framework of Reference. Untuk memperkaya pengalaman belajar partisipan, Inggris Masif mengajak partisipan belajar di ruang terbuka melalui Meet, Learn, and Play, menyediakan waktu berlatih di luar jadwal belajar melalui kegiatan English Call, podcast Talk with EMAS, dan melatih kreativitas partisipan dengan pembelajaran berbasis projects. Partisipan juga berkesempatan menampilkan skillnya di ajang kompetisi koin emas Competition in English Masif.
It seems really diverse between all of the citizens of Kediri. It gave me a lot of experience to know what it would be like in a lot of competitions. Now I know what it feels like to join a competition.
Ini salah satu yang paling baik rasanya yang lomba aku pernah masuk.
Muatan dan tujuan program Inggris Masif juga selaras dengan tujuan keempat Sustainable Development Goals, yaitu memastikan pendidikan berkualitas yang setara, inklusif, dan mendukung terbukanya kesempatan pembelajaran seumur hidup.
Program ini program yang sangat bagus, di mana anak akan diberikan pengetahuan dan keterampilan bicara dalam bahasa Inggris gratis.
Saya selaku PJ benar-benar bisa merasakan hasilnya.
Kalau bisa program seperti ini tetap dilanjutkan.
Inovasi program Inggris Masif ini berpotensi besar untuk direplikasi secara parsial maupun keseluruhan. Karena
Oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, good morning for all English Massive tutors and English teacher from elementary school and also junior high school across the city of Kediri. Welcome to English Massive Workshop Special Edition because today we will have a teacher trainer from Jakarta, Miss Yannik Herawati, will be presenting new target language. And today's workshop is also special because we are joined by elementary school and also junior high school English teacher. Well, allow me introduce myself. My name is Miftah and I will be your host in today's workshop. Well, there will be two agenda today. The first is English Massive Program Overview, which will be presented by English Massive Academic Consultant, Miss Enthusiastic MA. And the second will be the workshop with our special speaker, Miss Yannik Herawati MPD. Baik Bapak Ibu, apabila ada yang belum bisa bergabung di Zoom, silakan menyaksikan kegiatan streaming hari ini melalui channel YouTube English Massive. Okay, over to you, Miss Yantik.
Alright, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, tutors. Good morning, teachers also. So I'm really happy to welcome everyone to English Massive Workshop. And I believe that our teacher trainer today has joined us. Good morning, Miss Yannik Herawati. How are you? Check, Miss Yannik, are you with us? I believe Miss Yannik is with us. Before we get to the workshop session, Bapak Ibu and fellow tutors, I'm going to start with a short overview of English Massive Program. I believe that some of you perhaps are already familiar, or perhaps you are our tutor, so you have been working with English Massive for quite some time. But for those who have not really known what English Massive is, I'll be happy to share perhaps 10-minute session to give a short overview of English Massive program. So allow me to share my screen. All right, can you see my screen? Okay, thank you. So I'm going to dedicate this session to just give a short glimpse of what English Massive is. So first one, getting to know the program, and I'm going to show you our team and also the curriculum that we have, and also our programs and workshops with some third-party collaborators. So English Massive itself is an initiative program of the Kediri city government, starting from the aspiration or the feedbacks from the citizen of Kediri who want to have free English lessons for their kids. So the mayor, Bapak Abdullah Abu Bakar, formed a team in 2015, I believe so, and appointed Dinas Pendidikan Kota Kediri as the leading sector to form this program. So this program itself is a community-based language learning. It means we are sending our tutors throughout all the areas across Kediri city. Kediri city itself has 46 urban villages or kelurahan. So our tutors work from Kelurahan Pesantren, Mojoroto, Kecamatan Pesantren, Kecamatan Mojoroto, and Kecamatan Kota. So all our classes are spreading throughout the city. And this program is open for free to everyone of all ages, of all backgrounds, those who have a little bit of English or those who are still starting to learn English. So this is our team, Dinas Pendidikan Kota Kediri itself as the leading sector for this program. We also have our director for the program. Okay, I'm going to remind one more time for Bapak Ibu and also for the tutors if it's possible to turn the camera on and also to turn the microphone off if you're not talking. Thank you. So our team, once again, we have Dinas Pendidikan and also we have the director, Bapak Cevi Ning Suyudi, who is also Kepala Bapeda Kota Kediri. We also have excellent English Massive tutors, master tutors, and the management. And we also have dedicated PIC or PJ, penanggung jawab, who are working to make sure that the implementation of the teaching learning with English Massive classes is running well day to day. And here we go. If you go to our websites, the English Massive websites, EMAS pendidikan.kedirikota.go.id, then you will see our team, the tutors, the management there. So I would suggest that you check out our websites to get more information about the program. So about the program itself, as a non-formal education program, English Massive curriculums combine and find a strike a balance between the content that contains knowledge and skills and also the fun academic learning activities which aims to cover or not only cover but also strengthen what has been learned by our students in class, in school, in formal schools. Our curriculum are adapted from the CFR or the Common European Framework of Reference for Language, and we are encouraging every tutors in this program to apply communicative approach because we'd like to see our participants or our learners are confident in speaking English. This is our current leveling system for the young learner classes. We have from beginner 1 up to beginner 3 and then elementary 1 up to elementary 3. For the young adult and adult classes, we have the elementary 1 up to the advanced 1. This is a sneak peek of our current syllabus. So we have titles and also we specify the goals or function, the learning goals or function for using the language under the specific topic. We have also language content or language target that will be learned under that topic. So this is like one example of the learning module that we have. We have this learning module to support our tutors, but we also give freedom for the tutors to exploit and explore the topic which is still relevant with the learning goals. So our tutors can access learning resources from websites, applications, or other learning resources to support them with their teaching. So this is the example of one of the chapter from the learning module under the title Favorite Food. So we try to integrate all language skills. Of course, our main goal is for participants to have this confidence and fluency in speaking, but also we understand that competence cannot be achieved without having, sufficient input in terms of reading or listening, grammar, vocabulary, all language components. We also have this component of projects. We have reading project, which actually encapsulate the extensive reading to foster the interest in reading. So it's basically reading for fun, in which participants or our learners can pick and choose whatever that they want to read. And we also have project-based. Sometimes the tutors will ask their participants to do some project like posters or sometimes a video project. Our past workshop now, since 2018, we have collaborated with a lot of institutions who are working in the area of language learning, language teaching. So we have teacher trainer from RELO, for example, Regional English Language Office. We also have this collaboration with English Today Jakarta. So our tutors have learned from many other teacher trainers, but considering that challenges that we have in English Massive classes are so dynamic, and we believe in the power of learning. So even though we have been a teacher, but we believe that we need to learn always, from anyone, from anywhere. So we are also have this support from British Council English Corps to do an English proficiency test for our tutors and help us with the mapping of competency for our tutors. And recently we have this collaboration with Media Mandala Language Institute to administer IELTS tests, and we have done IELTS short training last year and this year, and we're very happy with future collaboration with other parties. Just like today, we have our special teacher trainer from Jakarta. So thank you, Bapak Ibu. I don't have much time because I'd like, and I really look forward to starting the workshop session with Miss Yannik Herawati. If you want to find out more about our program, you can go to our Instagram at English Massive. Also, we have a YouTube channel, English Massive Kediri. We have learning videos and also some coverage about the English Massive spots and learning. You can also go to our website, emas.pendidikan.kotakediri.go.id, and also you can contact us through our email. Thank you very much. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to check if Ms. Yannik Herawati is with us and ready to start the workshop. Hello, Ms. Yannik.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes. Very clear. So I'm so happy to have you with us today, Bapak Ibu and Miss Yannik. Allow me to give a short introduction of our speaker today. So Miss Yannik Herawati has completed her bachelor degree, Sarjana Sastra in English Literature and Linguistics from Universitas Padjadjaran Bandung, and she also earned a master's degree in teaching English as foreign language from Graduate School of Universitas Katolik Widya Mandala. She also attended Arizona State University as BIPA instructor and also an adjunct faculty under the Fulbright Foreign Language Teaching Assistant. And she has started then her teaching career, I believe, in Jakarta at the Faculty of Education Sampurna University. And then she proceeded with a new role as a founding principal and a principal mentor. Currently, she's the principal mentor at Bina Gita Gemilang Primary School, which is, I believe, an international school in Jakarta. Right, Mbak Yannik?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you very much for making the time to meet with our tutors and also teachers in Kediri. I cannot wait, and without further ado, I guess it's over to you, Mbak Yannik.
Thank you, Ibu Enthusiastic. I call her usually Antik than nickname. We met, I think, in 2010.
Exactly, yeah.
Our Fulbright program. But then for me, Kediri itself is very special because I started my teaching journey in Kediri actually. So in 2005, I was teaching in Kediri as an English teacher at EF actually for 1 year. And then I moved back to Jakarta. I moved back to Surabaya and then moved to US and then coming to Jakarta. At the moment, I'm working at Jakarta in Jakarta and in a school. But then now I'm not a teacher anymore. I'm still a teacher. But then my role is actually now as a principal. Now I'm mentoring a new principal. But then I'm still teaching up to now, and I think I'm always proud to call myself as a teacher. Okay, so I'm very excited to meet teachers from Kediri. I think we have many participants today. I hope you can keep up with the session. So today I will share my presentation first. Please give me a moment. Let me try to present my PPT. Okay, Ibu Entik.
Sure. Let us know if you have any issues sharing the screen, and we can help you.
Okay, sure. Okay, is it shown?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay, so this is our first session and introduction. Once again, welcome to our session. It's virtual because it's part 4. You are in Kediri and I'm in Jakarta. But then I'm very happy actually. Like before the pandemic, we always think that workshop we are going to Kediri and do the workshop. But after the pandemic, everything is possible. I think everyone can learn from anywhere. That's the thing. Okay. So this is our topic coverage. I would like you to read a little bit. I give you time to read first. So we have a lot of topics to cover, but then the topic that we are going to discuss during virtual sessions will be only some of them. So we are going to have hybrid sessions. The virtual sessions like this, not really face-to-face, but we call it face-to-face because we can meet. And then we have the independent study later on for the tutors, right? Ibu Entik for Google Classroom later on. So we have set of topic coverage that we are going to cover. Okay, and then this is our ways of learning in this workshop. First, we are going to have virtual session. Like I mentioned, we are going to have virtual face-to-face, and then we are going to have independent study, because I believe teachers should also learn through reading articles and then watching videos and then reflect, and then they are going to write some summary or something like that. So they have the room for them to enrich their knowledge. And then we are going to use the platform of Google Classroom later on. I will invite you for the Google Classroom. And then if possible, we are going to have peer observation. So you are going to come to your colleagues' session, and then you are going to learn from your colleagues, and then we are going to share, okay? So let me see what is not covering. Okay, so the class rules is basic actually. So first, turn on your camera, especially when you are talking, so I can see your beautiful or handsome faces. Okay, I've been a teacher and also a student for online learning, so I know when it is not turned on, we tend not to focus. So I think it's better to turn on, so to see your commitment. But then if you have problems with connection, please let us know, so we can tolerate that kind of thing. But if possible, when you are talking, so that we can see you, please turn on your camera. And then mute your mic. I think Ibu Entik has mentioned this. So mute your microphone if you are not talking, so that we are going to listen to the one who is talking attentively. And then we are going to respect each other. I think you are doing very good during the beginning of the session. While they are presenting, no one is making noise. Maybe somebody accidentally unmute themselves, but then there's no, because I usually join meeting with Dignas also, someone is talking to their staff, and then like they're busy, even they're discussing something, and everyone can listen and they don't realize it. So please make sure that you mute your mic if you are not talking, and then respect each other and stay on task. Later on, once in a while, I will not be the one who is talking all the time. So I will pick anyone that I think I'm interested to pick, or you can raise your hand if you would like to participate so that you can be on task. So please dedicate like 60 or 90 minutes of your time to really attentively listen and participate in the session. Okay. Okay, so this one is our first thing. So let's come to the same or similar page. Okay. Target language versus learner language. Target language in this case is English, the foreign language. Okay. And the learner language in this case is the native language of the students, which is Bahasa Indonesia. Not always Bahasa Indonesia, right? Some of the kids maybe their native language is Bahasa Jawa, right? So let's make it clear, because this is the terms that I'm going to use. Target language is for the language that they are going to learn, and then you are going to teach. And the learner language is the language that they use daily. Okay. So is everyone teaching English over here, Ibu Anti?
I believe so, Miss Yannik. All our tutors are teaching English based on English Massive curriculum, but also, as mentioned by our host earlier, that today is special because we have teachers from elementary schools and also junior high schools. I'm not really sure if everyone in elementary school or junior high school are teaching English, but I guess so, but perhaps later if we have teachers who are not really teaching English, or perhaps not really have education background in English but have to teach English, that would be interesting, right?
Oh yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So before I start, I would like to ask, I will choose randomly the participants. Ibu Nur Aini Alfantia from SMPN Negeri 6. Hello, Ibu Nur Aini.
Hello.
Okay, may I know you are teaching English at the moment?
Yes, I'm teaching English.
Okay, what is the native language of your students? Is it all Bahasa Indonesia or some of them more familiar with Bahasa Jawa, Ibu?
Yeah, of course. All the students familiar with Japanese.
Okay, correct. I have a question. Have you ever learned foreign language aside from English?
Pardon?
Have you ever learned another language or foreign language aside from English language, Ibu?
No, I mean, but when I'm in senior high school, I learned Japanese language.
Okay, that's a good thing. Japanese language. Did your teacher use Japanese during the lesson, Ibu?
Pardon, ma'am, because the signal is not, so your voice is not clear.
Okay. Did your teacher, your Japanese teacher, use Japanese language during the lesson?
Oh, no.
No?
I only teach English now.
No. Your teacher, you are saying that you are learning Japanese before. Did you learn by your teacher was teaching using Japanese language at that time, Ibu?
Yes, actually that I study Japanese language when I'm in senior high school.
Okay then.
Sorry that the signal.
Okay, thank you, Ibu. Okay, now I would like
you're welcome.
No problem. Okay, Bapak Hari Anggara Kusuma, Bapak. Okay, are you teaching English too, Bapak?
Yes, I teaching English.
Okay, good. Bapak, in your class, what language do you most of the time use, Bapak?
I use English and Japanese and Indonesian collaborated.
Okay. Why not full English during the lesson? May I know why?
I try children learn English little because it's sekolah dasar masih SD. Jadi tetap I can try my children every day for learn English and home and school and speaking canteen in class, in out class, have must speak English, harus bahasa Inggris.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Bapak, for sharing.
Okay.
I will choose another 2 teachers. Okay.
Okay.
Ibu Erni, Miss Erni or Ibu Erni. Ibu Erni, what about you? What kind of language do you use most of the time in your class, Ibu Erni?
I also try to speak English most of in my classroom, and yeah, actually some of my students feel like, oh, what do you mean, Miss? Yeah, they just talk, they just ask every time when I use full English in my classroom, but that's okay, that's fine. They can listen what I speak, what I said, even though they don't understand. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Erni. Okay. Oh, this is very interesting. Ibu Amalina. Wow, Ibu Amalina Nabila. Wow, I'm so happy to see a mother like, oh, you are studying with your child now. Are you at home, Ibu? Ibu Amalina? Oh. Okay, no response, so I'll pick somebody else, okay? Okay, Bapak Habib from SD Laboratorium.
Yannik.
Oh, yes. Hello? Please wait, Bapak Habib. Yes, Ibu Amalina?
I think Miss Nabila has internet connection issue, yeah, Miss. She's trying to say something, but
oh, it's okay then. It's okay, Ibu Nabila. Okay, it's okay. So while we are waiting for Ibu Nabila to get the internet connection being fixed, let's hear from Bapak Habib from SD Laboratorium.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Can you tell us, are you teaching English at the moment?
Yes, I'm teaching at SD Lab UNP Kediri.
Okay, so what kind of language do you usually use during the language lesson?
I'm really sorry, ma'am. It's very crowded here.
Okay. Maybe just next time you can use like headset so that you can concentrate better. So let me pick somebody else, okay? Okay, thank you, Bapak Habib. Okay, one more person before I move on to the next slide. Bapak Muhammad Solikin. Yes, Bapak. Maybe you can unmute first, Bapak. Okay, so I think there is also an issue with Bapak Muhammad Solihin. Okay. Oh, Ibu Anis Rifah. Are you ready to share about your experiences of learning teaching English in your class, Ibu?
Oh, yes, of course. Hi, Miss Yannik.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Ibu.
I'm a teacher in elementary school, and I'm also a tutor of English Massive. And I would like to share about the language that I use in my classroom. I use Indonesia and English, but this is so I mix Indonesia and English in my classroom, especially for the first grade, the second grade, and the third grade. But for the fourth, fifth, and sixth grade, I use English dominantly. So when I teach the first until the third grade, I say English first, then I say it in Bahasa to make them understand about what I say. It's about that.
Okay.
That's it.
Please continue, Ibu.
Yes. Enough.
Okay, Ibu, may I ask further? When you are translating, you just translate several parts, or you translate the whole sentence, Ibu?
I translate the whole sentence.
Okay, that's a good thing. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Ibu. Let's move on to the next one. Okay. Okay, so we are talking about the difference between target language and also the learner language. Now we are talking about the medium of instruction that you use in the classroom. I think most of you are using like 50-50 maybe, and then most of the time you are using the learner language or the mother tongue. Any one of you is using full English inside the classroom during English class? Or have you ever tried doing that? Maybe you can raise hand so we can hear from you. Have you ever tried using full English as the medium of instruction? Yes, Ibu Lia Safitri. Yes, Ibu Lia, the time is yours, Ibu.
Okay, thank you, Miss Yannik, for the time. So, for the young adults participants. So, the first time I would like to introduce myself. I'm Lia Safitri from English. The language instruction based on the competence of the students. Great. Usually English for about 50-50. But if they know the vocabulary and they understand the instruction, so I will or something like that. But for the adult participant, especially for the advanced level, I use full English. That is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Lia. Okay, anyone else would like to share before I move on to the next slide? So before we move on to the next slide, so teachers, I would like you to recall how you are teaching in the classroom and what kind of medium of instruction that you are using. And you recall, and then you have to connect to the goals of you, why you are coming to that class. You are coming to teach English. Are you really teaching them English? Are you going to maximize the use of English or not? And then sometimes people tend to, okay, we are worried they won't understand. Okay, once or twice they won't understand maybe, or they're in the stage of being confused. But then if you haven't really tried, then it's going to be like, I think it's better to try once in a while so that you will know how far you can go, okay? Yes, Bapak Muhammad Solikin from SD Negeri Bujel 3. Ya, Bapak, please, your time, Pak.
Okay, thank you very much for your assessment. Yes. Excuse me, I would like to share about my experience when I teach students in my students. I use English for 50%. Sometimes I translate to Indonesian and then about English, but some of them don't understand about the meaning. So I give the method to improve their vocabulary. I ask the student to memorize something and then write down in the paper about the difficult vocabulary. One day, 2 words. So I can count this week 14 words. So to make the student be enthusiasm in English teaching, English learning. I think that's all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Oh, thank you also for sharing your strategy of raising or empowering the student in terms of their vocabulary skill. That's very good. Thank you, Bapak Solihin. Oh, Ibu.
You are welcome.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one. So there's always a question. Is it possible teaching 100% target language in beginner level? And I think most of you said, oh, it's quite hard. It's not doable. But I would like to ask again, have you ever tried to use 100% English in your class in beginner level? Have you ever? If you have ever done it, can you please raise your hand and share your thoughts? Yes, Ibu or Bapak Agustin?
Hello.
Yeah, Ibu Agustin, please share you.
Okay. Please introduce myself. I'm Agustin from English Massive and also elementary teachers. I have ever used English all the time for young learner, but the reaction is just they just confused, and then the reaction also keep silent. Apa miss artinya just like that, and then I try to use simple gestures to make it easy and to make them easy to understand what I say. Just it, Miss Yannik, for my experience. Hello, I can hear your voice. I can hear your voice, Miss Yannik.
Miss Yani, you are muted, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss Agustin. We're waiting for Miss Yani to connect her audio with us again. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, sorry for the delay. Okay, Ibu Agustin, I heard that you tried to use gestures during your lesson. Did it work, or was it helpful for your students?
Okay, for young learner, I just use a simple instruction such as, okay, hello, can you please open your book? And then I show the example, open your book is open their book, just as simple like that.
Okay.
And it works.
Okay, yes, correct. Okay, so we are going to come to the next slide. Let me check whether I missed the previous one or not. Okay, so for the one, there are several ways that you can use in order to maximize the use of target language during the lessons. Once again, for me, myself, I'm a believer of the use of the target language, because the more you use the language, the more the student will get the exposure, the more they learn, okay? And then sometimes sometimes we as teachers, we are afraid that they are confused or they don't understand. The process of understanding something is coming from not understanding something or being confused, is the process of understanding. So if you keep on using the learner's language because you are worried that they don't understand and they won't get, then the student won't get the exposure of the language, okay? So the key is that you have to decrease the use of the learner's language. Otherwise, you are going to be stagnant. You are going to stay using Bahasa Indonesia, or sometimes because it's more comfortable, using Bahasa Indonesia is more comfortable because you don't have to use gestures. For example, Ibu Agustin was sharing, she was trying using the target language most of the time. When the kids look confused, then she was using gestures. That's a good thing, because when you are using target language, meaning you need to think about what you are going to say. Is there any props that you are going to use, any context that you are going to use, or gestures that you are going to need? Other than you are using the learner language, it's easier because they know you, they understand what you are saying, and it's easier for you. You just need to say, and then they will understand. But then learning should be, not always like that. If you, for one day, for example, you use only 10% of target language, maybe another day you can, or another week you can add. Like one of the teachers shared before, like, oh, I help my kids or my students to learn vocabulary by learning 2 new vocabulary each meeting. So in a week, they can learn a lot of new vocabulary. So that's what we call as strategies. So there are some ways for you that you can use, maybe some ideas that you can use. And maybe you can also recall and reflect whether I've done this before. That's why I can use the target language more than the learner's language. the use of visual and movement or gesture. Okay, language is all about connecting what they see and what they hear. Okay, so make sure that you are using visual, so you can use flashcard, props, and everything, and also gesture, movement, in order for them to understand what you are about to say. Okay, and then keep your language use simple. Okay, not too long, otherwise they will got like, what are my teachers talking about, or what is my teacher talking about? So the language use should be simple. Okay, and then you have to set reasonable goals or objectives. What is the goal? What do you want them to be able to do? Okay, and while we are talking about objectives, I would like to remind you, objectives should be able to be measured. Okay, so measurable. So for example, if you say, my students are able to understand simple present tense, is that a good objective? Ibu Sania, is that a good objective when you say my students are able to understand simple present tense? Is that a good objective, Ibu?
In my belief, there is no, it's not a proper goal or objective, because the proper objectives or the goals is the students, in my opinion, the students are able to apply or to use the sentence using the good form of applying the present form itself in their daily.
Okay, okay, let's hear from other. Thank you, Ibu. Let's hear from the other teacher. Okay, Bapak Ajang Supriyono. Bapak, I would like to hear from you. If I said an objective, right? Yes, an objective, the students are able to understand simple present tense. Is that an effective or good objective, Bapak?
For me, no.
Why is it not?
Because that's not one of the target of speaking. So we do not learn only about tense. So it's okay if we teach them how to use simple present tense. But for me, if I teach them about tense, so I make sure that they understand about the function. That's the first thing. So they can use.
Very good. So how are you going to refresh that objective, Bapak Ajang Supriyono?
From their speaking.
Yeah, what is it like, the objective? The students are able to?
Pardon?
So, because you would like to focus on the function, right? How they are going to use it. So how are you going to set the objective? What is it like, the sentence?
Okay, this is my way how to teach them. Okay, so my objective, when they can make some examples. Okay, simple present tense has three functions. The first is repetition action. So one of them, I will ask them to make sentence or example. Okay, I take a bath twice a day. I eat red rice 3 times a week, or something like that. The first target, my objective is speaking. So about that's all, I think.
Okay, okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, thank you. So from every teacher has their own belief, right? For example, I can see clearly that Pak Ajang Supriyono has that belief that language should be functional, okay, not focusing on grammar. Even from the way the teacher is responding, you will know, oh, this teacher believes in certain way of learning language. So functional, I do agree. But one thing, teachers, that I would like teachers to always remember, first we see the word understand. Can you measure whether your students understand or not? Miss Tri from SDN Singonegaran. If I say the students are able to understand, can you measure whether they really understand or not? You cannot, right? Because you cannot see their brain, whether they know or not, knowing or not knowing, or understand or not. So avoid the use the words that you cannot measure. For example, you cannot see it, you cannot listen to it. So understand is very broad and it's not measurable. So never use the word understand as an objective. But then if you say, oh, I want to know whether they understand or not, how do you know? Oh, they can mention the function of simple present tense. If you are teaching all simple present tense, they can identify the function of simple present tense. For example, Pak Ajang has mentioned, oh, they can use it for daily habits maybe or something like that. So they're able to use simple present tense in a conversation, something that you can see and you can measure. But if you use the objective as they're able to know, they're able to understand, that's not measurable and that's not an effective objective, okay? And simple present tense is a lot, like Ajahn mentioned, there's a lot of function of simple present tense. Which one do you want to achieve today? Is it possible 3 of them or only 1 of them? Okay, so make it specific and reasonable. Okay, thank you, Ibu Tri. Okay, so, and also because once again, I'm the believer of the exposure of target language, because I want to make sure my English language class is all about English, right? It's not, we are talking in Bahasa Indonesia all the time or in Japanese language all the time. So make sure you always remember, why am I coming here? I'm teaching what subject? Is it English? Are they talking in English? Are they writing in English? Are they reading in English? Are they listening in English or not? So the thing that you need to always ask yourself, okay? Otherwise, English language being taught for many years, they are not learning anything, or it's going to be very minimum. In order to make sure that you can maximize the use, is that you prepare your lessons well. Start with a very clear objective, okay? Later on, Ibu Entik, I will share the list of words that you can use as the verb for your objective or lesson goals, okay? And you need to avoid several words that you are not able to measure, okay? So I will share the link later on. Ibu Entik will share with you so that you will know, oh, if I want my kids in this phase of memorizing, what languages or words or verbs that you can use, or which verbs that you have to avoid. Okay, so I think the heart of everything, you have to know how you question your student. Questioning skill is very important, because without questioning skills, student wouldn't be able to respond, okay? And then the drilling, how are you going to do the drilling? For example, is it like this? I go to school, everyone, 10 times repeat, I go to school, I go to school. And then they don't know when to use I go to school. And then why we are using I go to school. So that's the thing. Drilling should be very important. You can use it for games, or you can ask them to do some interactive worksheet. So drilling very important, but make sure you are not doing the drilling, which is that once again, if you have clear objective, your drilling will be objective and clear, okay? And then the games. And also concept checking. This is very important. Let's talk about concept checking. Concept checking is to check whether the student grasps or understand with what we are talking about. You can measure my lesson is working or not today. Okay, I will pick some participants to share. Okay, Ibu Desinta.
Yes.
Okay, Ibu, where are you teaching now? Where are you teaching currently, Ibu Desinta?
Oh, I'm teaching in English Massive. I'm an English Massive tutor, Miss.
Okay, okay, Ibu Desinta, what do you know, or how do you see concept checking? Do you do concept checking in your class?
Sorry, can you repeat your question, because I had a bad internet connection, Miss Yannik?
Oh, okay, okay. So I would like to know, how do you do concept checking in your class during the lesson? How do you do it?
Sorry?
Concept checking.
It is, what do you mean is to check the understanding of my student? Okay, the first I should set the objective first. For example, I set the objective such as the participants are able to make or to say simple present. So I would like to specify first, is it positive, negative, or interrogative? And I teach them some of the verb first. And maybe I'll I will do an activity such as I put a lot of objects in front of them and please make a sentence. For example, there are bags and mineral water, for example, and the student must choose one object while they are saying, for example, I go to school, and they should take a bag and walk in front of their friend like this one. And I would check their understanding by their, what is it to say? By their project, Miss Yannik. So they are able to say the sentence correctly like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it is my perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Desinta.
You're
Okay,
very
let's hear
welcome.
from Ibu Nur Latifatul Khoyat. How do you do concept checking in your class? What is your nickname? May I know?
You can call me Latifa.
Okay. So how do you do concept checking in your class?
Okay, so usually I also use concept checking, check understanding of the student using true or false. So I have a card, maybe red for the false and then green for true. So when I say something, is it correct or not? For example, I will teach them about regular or irregular verb. So when I say, is it correct or not? Maybe when I say cooked or cooking, I mean, for example, read it or something like that. So they will use red for false, green for true. Maybe this is one of the way to check understanding of the student after teaching some material. Thank you. Is that?
Yeah, that's very nice. I think that's very effective way. My question before you mute yourself. Have you ever asked your students, do you understand?
Yes, I say.
You ever ask your student, do you understand what I've teach you or
Yeah.
I've taught you?
Right. Sometimes do you got it? And is there any question? And if you have a question, you can ask again, something like that. So not only about this activity, but also checking about asking question related with the material. Also, I did it.
Okay. But have you ever end your class by asking, okay, everyone, do you understand our lesson today?
Yeah, and I say that, but I continue another activity, not only say, do you understand it? Just that now.
Okay. Why don't you stop from the sentence? What do you understand what I've taught you? Why do you need follow-up questions? Why, Ibu?
Yeah, because I think if we say, do you understand? They will say yes. Because if we ask them, maybe when they answer no, so what is the problem? I mean, what is the what is you don't understand about that material? So there will be confused again. I mean, actually they don't know what should they ask, something like that. So mostly when we ask about, do you understand? Of course they will say yes, something like that.
Okay, that's a good thing, because as teachers, thank you, Ibu. As teachers, usually we love to say that. Do you understand our lesson today? And everyone, for the safe reason, they are going to say yes, and then or they are going to nod, and then you think you are successful for today. Okay, so concept checking is very important to check whether you have met your goals of the day. Okay, and then you have to recheck. If the students are able to mention, ask them to mention. If the students are able to use, ask them to use. If the students are able to identify the difference between A or B, ask them to differentiate A or B, so that you know, oh, they understand. Why do you need this concept checking? So that you know whether you need to reteach the lesson or not. Because as teachers, sometimes we teach like a train. We don't care, you understand or not, I have to move on, okay? Because curriculum is so packed. There are a lot of topics to cover. So you understand or not my problem, okay? Okay, Ibu Yuana Antika, you would like to add something?
Hello, Miss. Good morning.
I just want to share my experience on teaching in English Massive, that using concept checking in the last of or the end of the teaching process is seldom I used. That's because I usually use concept checking in the middle of the learning process. That's why, because when I say, do you understand? My student always answered with yes, or sometimes just keep silent and no response. That's one. And I dislike it. In my mind, that my students come to the class, when they go home, they must bring something, especially from new thing that they learn today. So I do concept checking in the middle, and sometimes when I explain, after explaining the material, I ask them, and then I ask them to practice question and answer with their friends, and after that, I check they are with their pair together like this, so I can understand that you understand or not. When I do concept check in the last.
Correct. There's a very good task and experience. So concept checking is not something that you can only do at the end of the lesson, okay? But you have to do it. Never end your class is like, okay, I don't care you understand or not, then you leave the class. So at least you do it in the end of the classroom, in the end of the lesson, or like Ibu Yuana has shared with all of us today that she did it maybe after presentation, after she is done with presenting the new topic, and then she's going to do concept checking, which is good because she didn't have to redo a lot of things. She's going to, okay, they got confused in this part, so what should I do? Okay. And then in the middle of the lesson, she's also doing concept checking. Is good. If you're doing a lot of concept checking in a very effective way, then you can adjust and then you can measure your lesson. Okay. For example, you are about to introduce the new function of conditional clause, for example, type 1, for example, conditional clause type 1. And then in your objective, there are 2 conditional clauses that you are going to do, conditional clause type 2. And then if you don't do concept checking, whether they understand the first one, you are going to do the next one, the second one. But if you do concept checking, like what Ibu Yuana practiced in the classroom, you can check in the beginning, in the middle, or in the end. So you know whether you are going to move forward to the next topic or the more difficult topic to discuss or not. So that's very important. And hopefully after this session, nobody is going to ask their students, do you understand? And then you are expecting them to nod or say yes, because you cannot see whether they understand or not if you are not doing questioning or concept checking properly. Okay. Okay. And then next is meaningful activities. Can anyone share what do they mean, meaningful activities? Ibu Rizka, maybe Ibu Rizka Nur Betty. Do you have any ideas about meaningful activities for you? What do they mean? Can you speak louder because we cannot hear you?
Hello?
Yes?
Hello? Hello, Miss Yannik, can you hear?
Yes, you may continue. What is your viewpoint about meaningful activities?
Okay, so here, as a tutor in English Massive, I want to tell you about the meaningful activity. So, meaningful activity is a kind of activity that can share with many participants in English Massive.
Can you speak a bit louder?
Hello, hello.
Yes, yes.
Yes, is it clear to you?
Yeah, now it's clear. Can you please
Okay.
repeat? Sorry.
Okay, so here, I think that meaningful activity is a kind of activity that use physical or social and gesture activity to use in for the participant in classroom. So we use any kind of skill for meaningful activity. For the example is any kind of activity that used for making what is in English massive we have project. So in the project sometimes we ask to the participant for making video. Okay, so please making video and review your bedroom. And then sometimes for meaningful activity we ask to the participant for make what is handcraft about what they like. They can use everything to to share about what they like in spoken what is that in spoken text. I think enough.
Okay. Okay, thank you for sharing your experiences of teaching, and it is related to meaningful activities. So the key of meaningful activities, make sure whatever you are doing in the classroom has purpose, has objective, clear one. For example, even if you are doing games, they are having fun, but should be meaningful. What does it mean? Meaning when they are playing games, for example, they are playing Pictionary, for example, it's not just for fun. It's because you would like to recall the vocabulary item that you have taught, for example. So they have to be able to use the objective that you are aiming at. So it's not just an activities that you are doing to spend the time, or activities that you think is fun or nice to do, but should be whatever you are doing activity. This is me myself. Why am I doing this? Why am I asking the student to write? What purpose do I have? That's the thing that you always have in mind. An activity can be called meaningful when it has a clear objective. Otherwise, it's just an activity. So whenever you are asking your student to do A, B, C, you are asking, what is the objective or asking them to do this? For example, okay, my teachers in the past asked to copy whatever the teachers is writing on the board. And then, have you ever wondered, what's the purpose of doing this? Is it for memorizing? Is it for just wasting the time or spending the time because the time is quite long? So you have to make sure you have that mindset that when you create an activity in the classroom, you have to know what's the purpose of this activity. If there is a clear purpose and it is in line with your objective, then that's meaningful. Otherwise, that activity is not the activity that you should be done in the classroom, okay? And then if you would like to maximize the use of target language during the lessons, you have to have context. Repetition, you can use it in games, you can use it in drilling, you can use it in activities. You have controlled and less controlled practices, whether activity that you ask them to explore by themselves or activity that you design in a way, pair work, role play, that's the things that you have to do, okay? Now, this is very interesting. I would like to know, how many conditional clauses do you know in your life? How many conditional clauses? Because all of you are English teachers, you must know, right? How many conditional clauses that you know in English, right? Okay, let me choose the participants. So everyone will have the chance. Bapak Angga Prasongko, can you please turn on your camera? Bapak Angga? Okay, I think Bapak Angga is not on her.
Yannik, yes, I'm here. But sorry, I can't turn on my camera because I have unstable connection internet.
Okay, sure. Okay. Bapak Angga, you are an English teacher. You must know about conditional clause, right?
Yeah.
How many conditional clauses that you know?
3.
3? What are they?
Yeah. Sorry?
Can you mention each of them?
Yes, type 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. Can you also explain in what situation are you going to use type 1, 2, and 3? Or maybe type 1. When are you going to use type 1?
Just like grammar checking, right?
So because if you know when you use it and then why you are using it, then you can build the context in the classroom. Okay, what is it like?
Just, I think that I can remember about the conditional type 1. It's to express something that will be happen for the future. So we use if and simple present or simple future tense. That's for conditional sentence type 1. If I'm not wrong, but I still not to really remember about the conditional sentence type 2, that something real happened, but it's so what we say, use simple past and present conditional, right?
Using would, yes. Okay.
Yes, then just from type 3, from conditional sentence type 3, just like past perfect. Is it right?
Correct.
Yeah, so we use had. Is it enough?
You are using would have, right? And past participle. Correct.
So, yeah.
So actually there are 4 conditional clauses, but then you are mentioning 3, that's totally fine. Let's focus on the first conditional clause using a simple present and will, right? In what situation we need to use that conditional clause actually? When are we going to use it?
For conditional sentence type?
What is it? Yes, conditional type 1. When are we going to use it? In what situation?
Something that we know and we will happen.
Okay, something that will happen, possibly happen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what if I say like this? If you choose me as your president, I will give you free education. What kind of message I'm saying, I'm trying to say?
If you were a president, you will
If
give.
you choose me as a president, I will give you free education. What is that I'm trying to say to you actually?
So what do you mean? Use.
I'm telling you, right? This is the sentence. If you choose me as your president, your new governor, or whoever the leader of the region, I will give you free education. I will pay for all of your education. So what am I trying to say actually to you?
You'll be the president and you will give free from education, right?
Say it again, sorry, Bapak.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, what am I trying to say actually?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, Miss Yannik.
Yes. Or what kind of things that I'm trying to say? If you choose me as a president, then I will give you free education. What is that actually?
Apa sih? Ini dengar nggak? Halo.
Okay, so okay. I think maybe there's issue with the voice. So teachers, for example, so anyone would like to share when there is election, president election, and the president candidate is saying, if you choose me as your new president, I will give you all free education. Anyone would like to share what kind of implication or things that I'm trying to imply to you? What is that? Ibu Marina, maybe Marina Madalena.
Hello.
Yes.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Sorry, I can't turn on my camera. Well, let me explain. Perhaps if you want a free education, so you have to choose me or choose you.
Okay.
I get that point.
Is
that right?
Okay. So what kind of conditional clause that I'm using?
Type 1.
Type 1. And then the structure is clear, right? You are using simple present tense and will.
Yeah.
And then you have to build a context. When are we going to use this type 1? Are we going to stop just memorizing conditional clauses, or are we going to use it? Okay, right? So the context can be, you know, that it's going to be election. If you are teaching high school, you can use the president election or governor election. But if you are teaching little kids, you can use election for class leader or ketua class, for example. So one of the function, we are talking about the function first, right? One of the function of conditional type 1 is premises. Possibility. You can give it or you are not going to do it, okay, right? And then the context, you build this in, okay, everyone, today we are going to have election. Let's say this is primary school, okay? We are going to have election for our ketua class, okay? And then I would like you to use the words or the sentence like, if you choose me as the ketua class or class leader, I will, then they will produce some sentences, right? And then you build the context in a way so that they can understand, oh, if I would like to use this conditional type, the context can be like the election or something that in a context that I'm giving promises to other people. That's the thing. So is that something that you are also doing in your class?
I still didn't do it. I use type 1, for example, just giving, oh no, that's about zero conditional, yeah. No, I give, for example, just what they do or what they want to do in their daily activity. Perhaps if they want to pass the exam, so they have to learn more or they have to study hard, study more for type 1. I guess so.
Okay. So did you teach them in a way that they learn how, in which situation they are going to use the type 1? So if they want to learn, like, what sentence are they going to produce?
Pardon, can you repeat?
What sentences you are expecting them to produce?
Simple present.
Simple present. So I will pass the exam if I study hard, something like that?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. So that's showing possibility too. And also, is it, and then you ask them, is it possible if you study hard, then you fail the exam? Have you ever asked them that?
Oh yeah, I think, yeah, there is sometimes it can happen with them. Perhaps they miss the material or the topic. It can be, but it's just a little possibility.
Correct. So yeah, the keyword is possibility, okay? Because possibility is not 100%, can be 90, can be 70. So they need to learn, oh, okay. So the use of this target language, like this topic or this, I used to call it a target language, or this grammar point is for this. So you are doing the right thing. So because if something, you are using something that is very close to their heart, they will always remember, oh, my teacher was asking me to do this, and it's all about the exam. Exam is something close to their heart, so it's easier for them to remember later on. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, you're welcome.
Okay, now we are moving on to the famous language teaching strategies. I would like you to take a look first and read. We have around 10 kinds of language strategies. I will give you time to read first, number 1 to 4. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, Any one of you is familiar with one of the strategies that being shown? Maybe you can raise your hand and share with us. Or I will pick someone, okay? Ibu Anissa Rembulan, are you there? Ibu Anissa? Okay. Or I'll give you a chance to read the second one. You have 5, 6, 7, 8, direct method, grammar translation method, audiolingualism, and total physical response. And then number 9 and 10 is silent way and natural approach. So any one of you have ever tried one of these strategies, or you have ever heard maybe before? Usually in a language institute or language teacher institute, they are teaching this kind of strategies. Any one of you have ever done this, or have you ever practicing using one of the strategies? Maybe you can raise hand. Yes?
Can I try to say it?
Yes, please, please.
Maybe it's about grammatical. Maybe slide 2. Can you open it?
Okay, let me see. What number is that, yours?
I think number 5 or 6.
Oh, okay. Give me a second. Okay.
GTM is talking about GTM, I think. Grammatical translated method. I think this is very old method that we used long time ago. We translate our first language to the second language to this student. So we just use for translating. So sometimes when I need it, I still use it for maybe only for combining some methods. I think that's. And about total physical response, it's like using movement when we teach, and I mean they can understand. It's easy for the kinesthetic student to understand that activity, I think. Thank you. This is my opinion.
Okay, so you have tried the GTM and TPR before?
Yes.
Okay. Any other methods that you think is quite new for you to see or to hear from the 10?
Number 1, I think for the first slide, 1 until 4.
It's quite new for you. Or later on, we are going to discuss one by one, okay? Okay. Thank you for sharing. That's very nice. Miss Lia Safitri, yes? Which one have you ever done in your class? Or maybe you have heard about it. Yes, Miss Lia.
The direct method and total physical response. So for the direct method, I use the English directly in the classroom I do it for the young adult learners. And for the total physical response for the children, because the children likes to move during the learning process, so I adopt this teaching method. And about audiolingualism, I don't know whether the method that I already applied is included to audiolingualism or not, but I have tried in my class. So I use the audio from, I take it from the British Council, and some activities I have modified the activities from the worksheet that already prepared in British Council, and I adopt it based on my students' level of competence. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, you have tried several methods, which is good. Okay. Bapak Anggara Prasongko, maybe you would like to share about your strategies that you have practiced before?
Yes, Miss Yannik, sorry before for the tragedy that I have sent because I have so many distraction here.
No problem, no problem.
Okay, sorry. So I want to share about my experience when as an English teacher, we know that there is no best strategy that we use to teach, but the appropriate one is the best.
Right.
And based on my experience that I use in my class is communicative language teaching, I guess, because I am the English teacher in elementary student, but I always try to use English when I teach in my class, but I don't have just like 100% response as we know of my student, but I always try to communicate them with English, and it's not always about the language, but we can use our gesture, instruction, and I try to give my student to have much opportunity and just like a meaningful activity communication. I mean, that's my experience, Miss Yannik. Thank you.
Okay. May I know why you are so into communicative language teaching?
Yeah, because I have children student, then they really like to study about something real, and they have so many response with what we have to before. So I use communicative language teaching as a strategy that I use in my class. I mean that they need to give some focus and try to fluence in communication.
Is it easy or hard for you?
Yeah, it's a little bit hard.
Okay. But whenever it's getting harder, you have to remember the objective or the goal of you are coming to that class, okay? So that you are going to be dedicate yourself for the reason that something that if you believe in communicative language teaching, as you said, that there's no such a perfect or the best one strategies that we can use, or we cannot say that, oh, CLT is the best or TBL is the best or CLL is better than CLT. It's not something like that what you said before, right?
Yeah,
so but then if you think
teacher, we know our student characteristic, and there is no best way but the appropriate one.
Correct. There is no such a best way of teaching or strategies of teaching that you can use for your students, because every school is different, every context is different. For example, the kids in Jakarta is different from the kids in Kediri, right? So I used to teach kids also in Kediri back in EF, right? And then when I go back to Surabaya, the context is different. What makes it different? Maybe I use the same strategies, but then the choices of games may be different, or the topic can be a bit different, because every school, every community has their own ways of communicating to each other. And then we cannot force, like, for example, I use my approach or my choices of activities in Jakarta to the students in Kediri is impossible, because I'm not going to get related to them. So Pak Angga was mentioning something very essential for all of us. So I showed you the language strategies over here. Based on number 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not based on the best to the least. No, number 1 is the best, number 2 is the second. No, not something like that. It's just numbering system, because there is no such a perfect or the best strategy of teaching. Actually, it's all back to the context, it's back to the community or the context that we are teaching. So let's discuss one by one. So it was mentioned earlier by Pak Angga, right? CLT, communicative language teaching. So if you're remembering the term CLT, you remember that the focus will be communication. So the focus will be fluency more than the accuracy of the students. Maybe the grammar is not something that the teacher is going to focus more, but then more on the students being fluent of expressing themselves in the target language. And then you are using a lot of hands-on activities instead of asking the students to copy grammatical rules or something like that, but then more to the using role play, using discussion, you ask them to do games or something like that, more into the interactive way of teaching. Well, TBL, the keyword here, task-based learning. Usually TBL are divided into 3 stages. we have the pre-task. For example, the main task is the presentation. The student, you would like the student to be able to present certain issue. For example, environment, you ask them to do, what is it? Can be presentation, can be speech, right? That's the main task. So we call it TBL. The keyword will be task. The main task, you know it, and then you have to think of several pre-task activities. So what should they do in order for them to present something or to say something in a speech? Of course, they need to prepare a lot of things. First, if they would like to talk about the environment, for example, whether it is a speech or is it a presentation, they need to find some sources about environment, right? After they look for some information, they do little research, right? And then maybe they ask several people, interviews or everything. They collect several information, and then they're going to structure those information into presentation. So they do the pre-task, collecting information, and then the main task will be the presentation or speech itself. And then the last one is the post-task, will be the follow-up activities after the presentation, or maybe the reflection session or feedback from the teachers. So you can do this kind of thing too. For example, usually when you see your students are able to produce a lot of, the percentage of the target language is quite high and they are able to speak independently, you can try this TBL. Or sometimes teachers will give them a task for them to solve the issue like discovery learning. That's also possible. Okay, number 3 is clear. It's content. The key is content language and integrated learning. Content here is other subjects. So for example, you are teaching science in English. That's called clear. So you are teaching other subjects using English. That's we call as clear. So you are teaching science, you are teaching history maybe, or maybe in the context of international school, or in the past we have Sekolah Bertaraf Internasional, RSBI. Usually they use this strategy of language teaching. They use clear, okay, because they use the content is mathematics, history or other subjects, but then the medium of instruction is English. So they learn English through learning the subject, another subject. And then CLL, this is student-centered activity, Bapak Ibu. So the key, there is clear, with there is clear, you remember content language, meaning other subjects being taught in English. When it is CLL, it is cooperative language learning. The key is cooperative, meaning collaborative. You can ask them think per share. You ask them to think first, and then they pair with someone, and then they will share in a group. We call it think per share. Or you ask them to create a mini poster, and then they work in a group, and then you do gallery walks. So student will move around to see the poster. That's also possible. You can combine CLL and TBL also. So you don't just use one strategy. You can use maybe 2. You can combine as needed. So, but then CLS is usually combined with TBL because it's possible. So they create poster or something. Then other groups will move around to ask questions while somebody or the student take turns to be the one on the spot being asked questions by the other participants. So that they don't realize it that they are using the language. Of course, they are going to use English during the activity. And CLL can be used in any subjects, not just English. Can be used in mathematics maybe, or maybe you can use it in IPS, social studies, science. There are many ways for you to use CLL, okay? And then the direct method, I think one of you has mentioned earlier. So in direct method, actually, the pure direct method is that you don't use learner language at all. And that's the thing that I usually do, okay? Direct method seems like you set a situation where learners will think and speak in the target language. You want them to get exposure. You want them to feel like, oh, just you put them, for example, you move to USA, no one is speaking Bahasa Indonesia, so you have to understand, you have to try to force your brain to understand. That's the thing that, because no one is going to speak their learner's language, right? Their native language. So that's direct method. But once again, it's back to the culture, back to the context of the school or community where you are teaching. And then GTM, me myself as a student, I'm very familiar with GTM because my English teachers love to use GTM, grammar translation method. The big focus will be on the structure, right? Previous one, Bapak Ajang maybe, he mentioned that my focus more on the function. He's more into the communicative language teaching. But then if you focus, I want the kids to remember or to be able to write sentences using simple present tense, and then you tend to translate the sentences that you are using. That's what we call as GTM. This one, something familiar to my heart as a student. But then sometimes at the end, I don't know why I'm using simple present tense. In what situation I'm using simple present tense? In writing what am I using simple present tense? Past tense, okay? In what text? Is it recount? Is it exposition or what? So because teachers busy with whether the student use he doesn't read or she doesn't read. So they're busy with the structure. Sometimes they tend to neglect the function of the language, okay? Someone is mentioning audiolingualism. The key is audio. So most of the teacher using these techniques or strategy will focus on the dialogues, drilling, and then spoken comes before written language. So they focus on things that the student can listen to. And number 8, usually people use it for little kids, total physical response, but actually you can use it for any level, even young adults. Because sometimes total physical response is sometimes combined with silent way, while the teacher is not talking, minimum teacher talking time, because they are going to do gesture or other things in order for them to teach target language, okay? But little kids definitely love that, especially when you have kinesthetics learner. And number 9 is silent way. So silent way is very interesting. Silent way is hard to do for a person like me who loves to talk, actually. So teachers, Bapak Ibu, actually as a teacher, my biggest homework when I used to be a teacher is that to limit my teacher talking time, because I tend to talk too much. But actually, in a place where I was teaching at, actually, teacher talking time should be minimized. It should be minimized so that student will talk more instead of the teacher, okay? And silent way is something different. It's quite similar. It's very minimum teacher talking time. And the focus is the students talking instead of the teachers talking, okay? So there's ways of teachers creating a situation that student talks more than the teacher. And then the use of gestures and facial expression. And then there are a lot of props like pictures or something like or dolls or everything that you can use posters, so that without you talking too much, they can see and refer the target language into something that they can see, okay? And then natural approach, this is very interesting. This is what our school is doing in Jakarta. We do natural approach. So we want to make sure that students acquire the language instead of learning the language. How are we going to do it? Acquire is different from learning. Learning is more into the textbook, homework, something like that, right? But acquire is that how are they going to get exposed to the target language? How they are going to use it day by day. Once again, that's why I talk to you. You can choose any strategies that is suitable for you, but you always remember what is your title, English teacher. So make sure you use the English, and then or else you can have strategies how to maximize the use of target language instead of you just play safe. Oh, let's do GTM all the time. Let's use learner language because they don't understand. But then you don't try strategies so that the student can maximize the use of target language. So number 11 and 12, I put it there for a reason, so that there is no such a perfect strategy that we can use or is called as perfect or the best strategy. You can combine one or two. You can use some from the natural approach in some certain situation, or you would like to try something else. That's why as teachers, you may have your own strategies. You can combine one or two. You can have 50% of this or 50% of that. So as long as you know the reason why you are doing that, back again, you have to remember the purpose or the title that you have is teaching English, okay? And then you have to come to the class with clear objective, because that objective will guide you. For example, you are driving, you know you are going to Kediri. So of course your GMAP will be going to Kediri, right? But if you are not setting clear goal, measurable goal, so that you are not knowing where you are going. So you are going to go left or to the right. But if you have clear goal, you are going to be able to prepare the lesson well. And then you see your classes, your students, and then you see, oh, I think I can try something new. And one thing about strategies or new things, sometimes new strategies is not pleasant to do or to experience. And usually as human beings, we tend to use something that we feel comfortable with. And I always have it in my mind, something like that. Whatever I'm doing in the classroom is not for the comfort of me, but for the students. So you are asking them to copy 200 pages, 10 pages. Is it for you, your comfort, so that you can sit down and enjoy your me time in the classroom, or you want them to learn something, and what's the purpose? Okay, I think that's the end of our session today. So for the next session will be independent study. We will have independent study. I will post an article. Oh yes, Bapak Ajang Supriyono, do you have something to say or to share?
Okay, Miss, sorry.
Yes, please, Bapak.
Okay, I just want to tell about my experience and
Sure.
want to ask about something to you. Okay, in my experience about the teaching method, actually I learned from my lecturer, is Mr. Agung, actually. That's a unique way, actually, when the student asks about something and my lecturer always explain in English. Okay, I forgot about his statement, but I implemented in my teaching method. Actually, we did final test yesterday, and I give one of question to my students, my participant, that is about how old are you, and then he answered, okay, I'm fine, thanks, and I answer, that's not what I mean. I mean, we talk about your age. If they do not understand yet about that, so I answer again. Okay, if you ask me, how old am I? And I will answer, I am 27 years old. And they have understood about, and he is able to answer my question. Is that a teaching method?
It can be. It can be.
Okay.
Because you are teaching them in a way, you give them guidance, right? Guiding, so that they know,
Yes.
oh, you are talking about age. Sometimes when I'm asking the students something like that, right? How old are you? Huh? And then I say, you are 6 or you are 7, because they are little kids, right? And they say, oh, I'm 6 years old. Or I said, your birthday, or something like that. We give them clue. You are doing is that you are giving them clue, and then you try to make sure that they got the hook, which is very good. That's direct method. That's something, because you don't use target language, learner's language at all. Is it hard for you to doing that? Is tiring or not?
No, sometimes we do that because our target is about let them speak up.
Correct. Because you are a true believer of communicative language teaching. So you are one, I can see that you are one of the participants that really believe in certain teaching, language teaching belief. That's why you are making effort. Because if not, you are going to say like, how old are you? And they say, huh? And then they say, umur berapa? It's easier, right? Shorter. You do shortcuts,
yes.
but you don't do shortcut. You do it more complicated way, because you want to make sure they learn something from the process. Okay, that's something. Yes, very good. Very good.
Another experience that I want to make sure about this. Actually, I ever thought about transportation. So in the end of the class, I give a small games that's about how to survive your life in isolated island. So I give them vocabulary about you may choose float, knife, lighter, and food can. But before going to do that, imagine right now you are going to have a vacation and your plane get crashed. Actually, now you are in isolated island. So how to survive your life? So you have to choose one of two, and you may explain how to survive your life. That's what I did. Actually, is that CLT, Miss Yannik?
Yes, that's CLT, and you are building context. You put so that they are coming to a context, right? They come a situation.
Yes.
That's very good. You are a true CLT believer, I think.
Okay.
That's very
Thank you,
nice.
Miss
Thank you
Yannik.
for sharing, Pak Ajang. Okay, that's very nice. Okay. The thing is, sometimes we take easy way, and then we use the excuse of the students, whether because they don't understand, you're worried over something. But then as a teacher, I try my best to remember this and remind me about this, that whatever I'm doing as a teacher is not for me. Okay, everything I'm deciding to do in the classroom is for the students, not for the comfort or for the sake of me. So that's the thing that I would like you to always remind yourself. Since all of you are English teachers, so you keep reminding yourself that you are an English teacher, you are teaching English. Make sure the kids are able to use the language, because I'm quite sad that most of the kids in Indonesia, they learn English for years, but then not even a single sentence that they can produce, but they can write, because some teachers are too heavy on certain strategies, so they are not able to use the language. So thank you for the participation today. For next session, there will be independent study, so we won't meet virtually, but we are going to meet via Google Classroom. I will add the participants later on. I will choose a topic for the independent study. I will add the participants, and we will be back to the virtual session with another topic on the 29th September 2023. I think that's all for me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Miss Yannik. It's been really wonderful to have this discussion for the first meeting of the workshop series, and also it's really interesting to have everyone participating with their questions and sharing their stories from their classroom. So just a short information for everyone, because we designed this workshop series with Miss Yannik initially only for English Massive tutors. So unfortunately, for teachers from elementary school and junior high schools will not join the independent study on Google Classroom. Yeah, but we are happy to welcome everyone again on the next virtual session, if Miss Yannik okay with that, on September 29th via Zoom like this. But we will try to accommodate more participants, because up to today, English Massive Zoom capacity can only have maximum 100. So for the next 2 weeks, then we hope that we can accommodate more teachers to learn with this session. So thank you very much. We also have some audience joining us via YouTube live streaming. So I wonder if we have some questions to address on the live chat. We still have like a couple of minutes here, Miss Yannik. Perhaps 3 minutes if we have questions.
No problem.
Do we have? Let me go. No. Oh no. Okay. Maybe one last question from the audience joining the Zoom meeting. Do we have one question before we end the workshop session today? Oh, I guess everyone is happy with what they have from you. Thank you very much, Miss Yannik.
Ibu Entit,
sure.
Not all the participants can join the independent study, because I have limited capability to check the work. I want to make sure I check every work that they are submitting. So, but then I will be more than happy to share the article to you, so that you can share to everyone, because I believe teachers should read a lot in order to inspire the students, right, to teach more for the kids. So you can share the article, or maybe later on I will share some links that I find very useful for me to understand, so that we can learn together. So that's the thing that I can do for the other participants here, Ibu Entit.
Sure, we'll be happy to do that. We already created a WhatsApp group for the teachers. So yeah, that should be no problem, Miss Yannik. All right. So I guess that will be all for the first session of the workshop series with Ms. Yannik Herawati. Thank you very much once again for sharing with us. And thank you everyone for joining today's workshop session. Please just stay in the WhatsApp group for updates and more information related to this workshop. So thank you. Have a good day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Miss Tim and Miss Yani.
Thank you. Okay, is it?